Welcome to Letting Go with Aloha. Today we have an incredible guest. She's a fireball of energy. We were recently on Voice America, and after that interview, I had to have Ren Robertz. Listen to her background, guys. She's a CEO, a transformative business coach, certified in many mindset tools, silent counseling, be set free fast, and she created her signature financial freedom and joy program. Welcome, Ren.
Hello, hello. I am so grateful to be here, Karen.
Thank you so much. And the first question I'd like to ask you is, how can we prepare our children as parents to be, business minded, or even be aware of the mindset tools that are readily available to us?
Well, being a product of the product, and I think it's that humbling that we don't know what we don't know. And to just, as much as we can love and appreciate our parents and families of origin, a lot of them, unless we were raised in true affluence and abundance, there's a lot of just talk that has been passed down. And some of those beliefs, like money doesn't grow on trees, work really hard, and that's the key to success. In the end, when you get to retirement, then you can relax. So there's a lot of beliefs collectively that we do, like with little kids. What do you want to be when you grow up? We don't want them necessarily to say happy, energetic, confident. We're looking for them to give us a career or a job task. And that's the norm. And so those are the things that looking at with our kids is, if we truly want there to be a difference between what is out there and normal and standard, and to do something truly extraordinary and have the luxury that most people desire, though truly don't have, which is time freedom, with the ability to do what they want, with whom they want, wherever they want, how they want. And so that's what we can bring to our kids, is putting these different ideas in our own brains. And then we teach our kids those things and model something that might be completely different than they're hearing everywhere else in the world.
Wow, very insightful. How do we model that? Because I think it's a default, right? Where we say, so what do you want to be? I hear a lot of the students, well, actually of all ages, they want to be such and such. And it's usually a career, right? You never say, train them to be like, I want to be happy. I want to be purposeful. I want to be, but that's interesting because that's what we've been taught. And then the whole, do you really want to spend money on that? Shouldn't you be saving for the future?
Yep.
So what questions or what things should we say so that we're not, pigeonholing them in a certain box?
I would say it's really about looking for the joy and the happiness and nurturing those things. I didn't fit into the normal box in first grade. I was digging holes in the dirt, and I love to sculpt things and make these little worlds in my imagination in the dirt pile. Well, that didn't really attract a lot of friends for little Lauren. Until suddenly in fourth grade, everyone wanted to dig in the dirt pile.
It was fun.
It was amazing. And then we all had friends digging in the dirt pile. So I think it's just letting our kids be okay with who they are and loving them up. And I came across something recently that's every child needs someone in their life that thinks the world of them and gives them that unconditionalness. And so I think that's just letting them be them however they want to express it, and soaking that in.
I love that. Soaking that in. Because I have a lot of students who just, as soon as you ask them a question about, what do you think about, immediate response, I don't know. Sometimes tears, because they're worried about giving the wrong answer. So, so how do we reframe that? Because it could be as simple as, can you name me 4 animals? And it's paralysis, the pressure to say the right answer. How do we change that so we don't stress our, those little minds?
Yeah. Oh, well, sadly, that's our bigger thing, is the magic wand, that we all have. That's
I love that.
And, in the school system and stuff, there's a different way of like, there is a correct and there is a right and wrong. And so it's like, there's that pushback to what can we really do? And I think that's where it's like tied to the kids' self-image, on like their self-worth is not attached to their performance. And that you had mentioned prior, like to coming on, is what are things about judgment. And so it's like, when that's the hardest thing to do. We're humans, we judge. Our mind is literally programmed to judge. And so then putting that on our kids and deeming that we have a good kid or a smart kid or this, and it's like those little labels are how these humans are formed. And so it's being very careful with your labels, because those labels do come true, especially when the little person buys that label for themselves.
When it's the report cards, right? I get the most calls when report cards come in. And I think the judgment that parents feel is definitely passed on. So how do we rewire that, where even though I say your grades don't define your worth, and as soon as the parents see that mediocre or possibly what they consider a bad grade, they go, just that response.
Yeah. I think that's the part where we as parents get to do our inner work.
Ooh.
To come over that response, because for like myself, I became a mom from adopted kids. So then it was like these children, oh my gosh, well, like I didn't behave like that. That was not acceptable. Like, I was raised to be a straight A student. Well, now putting this on a child who's adopted, who has a completely different background, and then expecting them to be a straight A student, that was a lot for my own programming and to be okay with things. So like there's so many layers, and that's why I stress on doing our own work to help to be okay and be in that sense of like loving the kid up, and are they doing their best? And what can be done to, what does your best look like? And everyone's best is different.
Oh, I love that. Everyone's best is different. Because I think when, they say, well, so-and-so had 100 and I only had a, 80 or 75 or sometimes even a 90. And no matter what it is, this comparison can crush your self-esteem. And then it's added stress when privileges get taken away, because we think, I remember I have a 20, soon to be 28 and 21. I would have totally raised them differently, but we're trained, take away those privileges or else they will not learn. Yep. Please share your thoughts on that.
That's difficult, because that's where I noticed my own programming and becoming, an instant mom of 3 overnight. Suddenly I didn't have, like, it went whoosh. And so a lot of that, it's like being programmed to, I want to do things different. And there's like the defaults that just came out. That's like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be like that. Though it's like finding that balance between supporting and enabling. That's the other thing too.
Such a hard line though, don't you think? Because a lot of times we think, I think I'm helping, and then you realize, oop, I don't think I'm helping.
Exactly. So I think it's just, it comes down to where can we be a support system? So like for my own childhood, it was like I needed to play an instrument because that would make my brain smarter and be a better person, and it was good for me. I hated practicing playing an instrument. And still to this day, like I would love to be able to do it, and I don't want to practice more than I want that ability. And then looking at my, adopted daughters, like where she flourished, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to force her to do something, even though it would be great. It would be great for her to take a language when she's little. Yes, wasn't a desire for it. So it was like, okay, well, what is her desire? Dance, makeup, that sort of artistic stuff. And so instead putting and following her interest, and then letting it be, okay for her to also move on with interests. So it's like that, also that balance between, okay, we're paying for a class, we're at least going to take the class, as long as it's not horrendous to ourselves, let's at least finish the class. Though if you hate it, we don't need to keep continuing that stuff. So I think in that sense where it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to change your mind if you're not feeling the joy about whatever that activity or skills with the kids that they're into.
That's a tough one, though. When we come back, let's talk about how we nurture that joy and put our own agenda aside. Because I have a lot of parents who say, well, you are going to take a sport, like you said, a foreign language, something with high tech, plus an extracurricular. It's just so overwhelming. And they don't allow their children to have a choice. Because, like you said, you just summed it up. It's going to be better if you'll increase your chances for success, or you're creating your resume. I know you're only 7, but we are creating.
Yeah.
So let's stay tuned and we'll be back soon.
Mafe Management is a company dedicated to empowering individuals and businesses in PR and marketing, social media management, online show and podcast production, business consulting, graphic design, photography and videography, workshops and classes, events management, personality development, logo creation, illustrations, and animation. In working together to turn their dreams into reality. Get one step closer to elevating yourself and your business by contacting hello@mafemanagement.com. Let us empower you.
So hard question, right? A lot of times if your passion is soccer or your passion is the violin or a certain sport, you think, I succeeded, you will succeed. And then you hear your child, if my parents put me in soccer, I don't know what I would do. But I've had some kids after 10 years, the parents will finally say, okay, you've been doing it from 5 through 15, you can change. How do we get parents to understand that it shouldn't be like a non-negotiable, like you need to take this because, and the children are trained. Oh, I have to. Do you like it? No, but I have to.
Oof, that's a hard one. Pushing against definitely like the social norms or the best thing. And I think that's where, going back to the beginning, where it was like most of us are trained, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you spit out a job description. And that's what most people experience in their life. A lot of them are mothers, stay-at-home mothers, working moms, hardworking dads, single parents. These are all roles people play, and that's how they identify themselves. And so that's where putting it down into our kids when they're little, like, where can we start to do this so they find their joy and they're happy and they're not stressed out elementary school kids that are missing the joy and the fun.
Wow, missing the joy and the fun. That seems to be a common struggle with, you know what? I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I just realized there has always been missing fun and joy. Because when I show up and I'm the tutor, oh no, and then now I'm incorporating fun, incorporating different colors and different movement exercises, but I didn't know this back then. So any little tips that you can give parents who are like, we must do this? Because it's very difficult, right? If you succeeded, you don't understand why your child can't find joy because you found joy.
Or did you really find joy, or were you pleasing your parents? And that's where you found the joy.
That's a good, I asked someone that, no, they really like it. But if you're a pleaser and it made them think like, well, I think she likes it.
So yeah, part of it is just that, I guess, the loss, and that's the growth on our own, is like we have these expectations. Most of us, before we even become parents, we dream of things. I dreamt of family camping trips and playing board games and doing the things that I loved and treasured. So I attempted to recreate that with my family, and then it was not a pleasant experience. One of the things that it's like, and I'm sad about it, and it hasn't been able to change, though one of like the, my adopted son, when we go to play games, he just would cheat from the time he was 5 years old. Like that's when I met him. And it was just not an enjoyable experience playing games. And I got grumpy. I didn't enjoy it. Like, and then the sisters are getting, it's like, and it just made sadness. So I think there's the loss that it's like I never got to experience what I was hoping for having that experience, though I created different ones. And I think that's where, for the parents that are so like they need to do what I'm doing because of this, it's like if it's not bringing a joy or enhancing your relationship with your child, is the relationship really worth that price? And, I still remember as a child being forced to drink my cup of cow milk every night at dinner. I don't like cow milk. To this day, I don't choose to drink it. And like now all the studies came out over this or that. And like, though it's just for myself. And so it was like this. So for me, when I think about family dinners, my energy is cringing at that table. And it took me a long time to separate. It was the fact that I was forced every night and I'd stare at that stupid cup of milk. That was forced because it was good for me or this or that. And so it's just looking at the energy. I don't remember that table with fun memories or positivity. That's what the overall, my childhood memory. I think of the fun memories at the dining table where we would play the board games. Kitchen table, crunched, angry, focused on that milk.
Interesting, don't you think? How we just remember fun memories and then not so fun memories. So I love what you just said. Is it worth the relationship? And I think some parents believe that it is worth it because they are grooming their child for success instead of for happiness. Do you think we're focusing too much on success?
It's a mixed one. I mean, that's why I created my company, Financial Freedom and Joy. My programming out of the gate, like it was, I like animals. Oh, are you going to be a vet when you grow up? Ugh. Are you going to be a dolphin trainer? Oh, that sounds fun. Though when I went there, like not necessarily actually how I wanted to spend my time. Zookeeper sounds fun. A lot of poop cleaning, not my thing. So I ended up starting a business. So I had a petting zoo. I got to own all the creatures and someone else took care of it for me. So in paper, it's like I was successful. I made my parents happy. I was the college dropout withdrawal. I withdrew when I realized I didn't want to spend 4 years learning about business. So I went and created a business at 19, was employing the college people. So that's where it's like this definition of success. I didn't do it, but I also was attempting to please my parents. Oh, I am the withdrawal one. My parents are very educators, like school principals, and their kid didn't finish and graduate from college. And so there was a lot of proving and needing approval. And so and one of my mentors said, what would it have been when you were a kid if somebody encouraged you to start your business? Instead of feeling like I had to break through and do it at 19 and be this rebel, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I think that's just a paradigm shift that we can bring to our kids in the next generations, because everyone thinks they want their kid to be happy, though in reality, you'll kind of squish down. You don't get to be happy. Put the happiness on hold. You need to do your work. You need to do this. You can be happy later. This is the time. This is school. You can be happy once you graduate. All of those delayed happiness are then what adults are trained to do their whole life. Put their happiness on hold because they've been programmed their whole life to do that.
Wow, that triggers a memory. I remember my dad said you'll always have time for a social life. Education is top priority. My first daughter was born. This is your most important student ever. It's so much pressure because you realize, it's like do we sacrifice? That word sacrifice comes up along, well, if I love you so much that I will. And then I think, does that lead to pleasing, children wanting to please because they feel their parents are working so hard? Where's the balance creating joy, right, versus trying to please and getting joy from that?
Yeah.
You just said.
It's so, I mean, that's going back to the inner work, because as long as you're looking for acceptance outside of yourself, you'll never, ever be able to be fully responsible for someone else's happiness.
Wow. Can you say that again?
You will, yeah.
We need to hear that.
Yeah. Your joy and all of that, it needs to be, you have self-acceptance, because you will never be able to be fully responsible for someone else's happiness.
I think that's what causes 99.9% of stress from parents, because they feel like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. All they want them to do is just what I say. And if they do that, life will be dandy.
Yeah.
But they are
And
being, in their eyes, oppositional, or maybe just not doing the right things. But aren't we learning now what are the right things? How do we know it's the right path?
I mean, that's where we need to get to be more in tune with our own intuition and guidance, because we live in a law of polarity. So for 100% by law, if one thing is saying this, then by law there has to be an opposite person saying the opposite. So you're never going to find the right balance. And from multiple kids, people find, a parenting strategy that works phenomenal with one child will not even work for the second child. So that's that flexibility about, and then knowing your intuition, because there's not a roadmap except this inner map that you have. When you listen to it, then it can definitely help things be more smooth.
When I think that's, the closing question, that's hard, because I thought, wait a minute, all of this worked with my older daughter. What happened? Why am I doing this wrong? And then you realize way later, there's not a cookie cutter formula, which makes it so inconvenient for parents, because you're multi-thinking, you're juggling everything, because you have your own life too. So what's the one thing, I know there's a lot, but what's the one thing that we can do today just to give us a little bit more peace as we juggle all those balls and try to find, like parenting, like you said, it's not an easy journey, but can we do something to bring us a little joy and decrease stress?
Well, I'll give you an actual tool, which I'd love to give an actual practical. This is what I use. And then the preface for that is finding your own joy and inner peace, and whatever a fraction of a moment or something that brings you joy, do that for you, because that's the ripple effect. So it's not being selfish to give self-care, because it makes you with more care for others. And so what I personally, I've been certified in silent counseling for about 2 years now. And so the breath work from there, I love. So that's what I love to let people know about. And it's aligned breathing. And so if your kid is screaming at you, they can be, 2 or 22, though it rocks us off. You stubbed your toe, you're stressed out, you burned dinner, I got stung by a jellyfish on the beach in Costa Rica. I used this breathing to help center me. And so what we do, I call it candle breathing. So it's like you blow out a candle. And so the more oomph you put behind it, the better. And so it's a 2-part breath. So you just go and let it out. So it's that 3 candle breaths, and we do it on 3 spots. And so what we do, you take your 2 fingers, and on a podcast, I'll just explain, you take the pointer finger and middle finger from your right hand, and you put it over there on your collarbone, and you might find a little soft or tender spot. And so that's where we do our 3 candle breaths, right on that spot. And that helps our whole nervous system calm down. And that's the fear of, they're not listening to us. What if this doesn't look like that? Judgment. What will other people think? What do I think? My kid is not doing that, or their report card's bad. So this is where it just, that core fear, it centers us. And then we put our 2 fingers right under our nose, and we do 3 breathings there. And in that spot, it relieves the shame and the guilt. And it helps everything be coming down and once again feeling calm. that we're safe. So these are just 2 spots that our body responds to, and you can teach your kids this too. And then the very last thing is you take that spot on if you're going to do a karate chop with your hand, so you use your right 2 fingers on your left hand where you do a karate chop, right? And then you tap and you say some things that would make you feel better. So what I usually love is I am calm, I am confident, and I've got this. And you repeat that 3 times.
Wow. Everyone watching this, share these methods and actually share this this interview, because I think you have mastered one. It'll help every single parent, even teachers, counselors, anyone who gets frustrated with children. We do feel like, I can't do this. I am done. You have those moments. And I never underestimate the power of the breath, but tapping is so healing and just pausing, right?
Yep. So your candle breaths help the body start to get to balance. So you do that spot on your collarbone 3 times, then under the nose 3 times, and then you tap. And those affirmations, I say them silently sometimes. I might be on a Zoom or or driving, and it can work. So those things, it just helps realign your body. And that's where you can go into your world and your parenting world as a more grounded and joyful. And then remember these kind of techniques. And then this allows you to utilize them and feel them.
Wow. Well, how can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more?
Yes. Well, you can find me on all the social media platforms. It's Ren, R-E-N, and then Robertz with a Z at the end. And then it's called Your, YOURFFJ, like financial freedom and joy, because it's about your journey to having more financial freedom and joy in your life. And so I have a private Facebook group for free. You can join us business owners. I do live trainings in there, and I just love to connect and get you. There's free goodies. I think you have a link of mine, Karen, that people can download some of my amazing tips and connect and have some more joy in your life. Please, friends.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's just so uplifting. This feels like a healing session. Thank you. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. And I want to thank you, Ren. And we need to connect sooner. We have to do something together.
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, take care. Okay, bye.
Aloha.